Hello, my brothers and my sisters. This is Reverend Aki Ahim. I'm Associated Minister of New Salem Baptist Church, the Keep It Real Church. I'm here today with my pastor, my brother, my friend. We're here to discuss some things today, but before we get into all that, I want to introduce him to some. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Let him tell you about who he is, what he does, and what make him so special to me. Okay, Skip, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Introduce yourself to the public, to the people, and reacquaint yourself to some others.
God bless you all. We are glad to be here today with our brother. And as I always say at the start of our service, that we greet you with Jesus' joy. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I'm here with my brother today to discuss a subject that is dear to my heart, being the pastor of a church. My name is Ernest D. Wormley Jr. I pastor New Salem Baptist Church. He told me to talk about some of the stuff I do. I'm in a lot of stuff. One of the main things I'm most proud of is I am employed by the New Jersey Human Development Corporation, and I do study on HIV and AIDS, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. And that is, other than the ministry, that is one of my greatest accomplishments. I'm also a professional gospel singer. I've been singing gospel 30 years or more, and I've been all over the country, spreading the love of Jesus through song. I also am a professional musician, a drummer in a band with 4 very other talented brothers. And we pretty much been all over. And, other than the ministry, music is pretty much my passion. It used to be basketball, Key, but my basketball days are over now.
That makes 2 of us.
So pretty much that's all it is to know about me. I don't, Key, when people call, when I go to preach, they ask for a resume, and I tell my secretary, they say I don't need to send a resume. I'm going in the name of Jesus, and that's pretty much all you need to know about me.
Amen. And the reason I wanted him to do that was because today's subject is about the heart of a pastor. And I know his heart. Y'all probably don't know it. You will know it after this conversation, but it takes a very special mindset to have a heart of a pastor. Some people say they have it, but in the reality of it is, some people are, and listen, Peter says some preach for their filthy lucre. So everybody, pastor ministry, ain't here for the gospel or to help it grow. They're here to get money. I want to read a scripture to my pastor, and after we're going to use this to springboard this about the heart of a pastor. After that, we're going to tell you, we're going to go into the discussion even further. And it starts here at Exodus 32, 7. And this is an amazing thing that took place. And the Lord said unto Moses, go get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out the land of Egypt has corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them, and they have made molten calves and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, these be thy gods of Israel, which have brought thee up out the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make thee a great nation. And Moses besought the Lord, his God, and said, Lord, why dost thou wax hot not against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out the land of Egypt with great power, with a mighty hand. Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth, from thy fierce wrath, and repent of the evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thy own self, and saith unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land, and I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do to his people. Amen.
Amen.
And the heart of this, listen, we're gonna get into this more, but the thing of this is, to me, was God tested Moses when he said, hey, I'm gonna knock these jokers off anyway. But in the process, I'll make you a new nation. Now, it takes a special human being to say, hey, don't do that. Because a lot of us would have said, hey, a new nation for me? You already gonna kill them? I'm down with it. And he said, no, don't do that. Let you continue to be their God. Show how great you are. Show your compassion. He interceded for them. And as a pastor, you've been a pastor. How many times have you had to intercede for people? And we're going to get into that more right after this. Yes, sir. Now, my brother, give us a synopsis of what was read so far, and we'll get more into this.
Well, anybody that knows me know I'm pretty much a right to the point person. Based on the hearing of your reading, Moses had a love for his people. And he asked God to give him a break, cut him some slack, and it's because he loved them. And one thing, if you don't have a love for people or the things that people are involved in, then really you shouldn't be involved in pastoring. You really should. Now, let me premise everything in our conversation by saying this. What I'm going to say, or my reply to your question, or my answers, they are totally my opinions and my beliefs.
And that's what I'm asking, your opinion.
Everybody don't have to go along with that, and that's fine. If you don't believe it, that's okay with me. I've been pastoring going on 18 years. I've been in the ministry longer than that. And I have grown to understand that the real thing pastors need to know. Can I say this?
Go ahead.
Listen, a lot of people want to be a pastor, but they are in love. And if it's not you, I'm not talking to you. They're in love with what they see, and they don't really know what it involves to be a pastor. They're in love. For other people now, or for some people, they say with some pastors, you see the cars, you see the clothes, you see all this. See, some people see that, and just like the scripture you read, some people are into, excuse me, the ministry for those things. But see, the road to it is not lined with silver and gold.
Right.
Most of the time you're starting from nothing, and if that's why you're getting involved in it, you're going to be very disappointed, very disappointed. I understood when I started, first of all, let's say this, I didn't want to be a pastor.
Now, I have always told everybody I know, if you find somebody who want to get into the ministry, you better watch them. Because every time I read in the Bible, God calls somebody, they find every excuse not to do
it. Well, see, with me, like I said, I have been into the ministry. I was evangelizing. I was running revivals all over the country. I was pretty much a revivalist, and I wasn't even pastoring the church. So I didn't have to deal with the things that go along with being a pastor.
Right.
I went to a church for a week. I preached and I left. You know, if you didn't like me, it's so big. You ain't have to call me back no more.
Right.
But when you engage in a pastor, so I didn't mind the ministry, Key, but that pastoring is a whole nother ball game.
Right. For lack of a better term, we used to say everybody was in love with the Rachel side of the ministry, but nobody wanted the Leo side of the ministry. Because the Rachel side is the pretty side. The Leah side is the ugly part. That's the parts when you go into the hospitals, the jailhouses, the visitor people, the counseling, and all this stuff that people don't see and hear about. The work part, you know.
And see, they see the glory, but they don't know the story.
Right.
They don't know the story. See, they're not around when you're getting calls. And don't get me wrong, it's that I've grown to love it. But I love what I do, first of all, because I love God.
Right.
If you don't love God, because see, you're going to have to love God, because God is who sustains you when you're going through these times doing your pastorship, and you ask yourself, what have I got myself into? What have I got myself into? But see, they don't see those 2 o'clock mornings when you get the call and you have to go to the hospital. But that's part of what you do.
Yes.
So if you're not ready for that, you don't need to sign on. And you need to know people that's getting into pastorship, it's holistic. It's not just preaching. I tell you all the time, preaching is the easy part.
Yeah.
Preaching is easy. I ask God what he want me to tell his people. I pray about it. He tells me what to tell them, and that I listen. So that's the easy part. Sunday is the easy part of pastoring. It's Monday through Saturday is where the real pastors, you know, where it gets what you do, what you do.
And here to tell you the heart of a pastor, heart of Moses. Because listen, and you know this, and a lot of pastors out there know this. If they haven't, they found out, or they're gonna find out, that if people, a whole nation, can make God angry enough to want to wipe them off the face of the earth, how can a human being deal with these same people?
But you know what drives them, Key? Well, I can tell you what drives me. Love for my people is what drives me. And see, I'm not talking about talked about love. I'm talking about heartfelt love, because talked about love won't last. It's the heartfelt love. You have to have, you hear people talk about a pastor's heart.
Right.
You have to have a pastor's heart. And that simply means you have to love them. Listen, Key, you have to love people that don't love you sometimes.
Yes.
You know, I'm asked a question, how can you shake a man's hand when you know he don't like you? It's in my heart. It's in my heart. It goes beyond the surface. It's in my heart. You gotta have a love for him, because when you're connected, Key, when you're connected, you not only pastor the people, but you feel that they're laid on you because it's a labor of love. When they hurt, you hurt.
I'm glad you said that, because here's the thing. Some people think fasting is a one-stage process, but as you've shared with us recently, it's a growing process. When you said, when you lost your mother and father, it took you to another stage of pastoring that you wasn't at before.
And that brother is so true, because when I was pastoring, and my mother and father was still living. So I was doing, quote unquote, what a pastor does. I was going and ministering to people, but there's one thing I couldn't tell them. And a lot of people say it, but they really don't know. If they had lost a parent, it's one thing I couldn't say to them. I know how you feel.
Right.
I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that. I said all the pastor stuff and I meant it from my heart, but I really didn't know how they felt. But after losing my mother and father, Key, 2 weeks apart, I didn't have time to grieve one of them before God called the other one. Now, just like I told the people at the church, I'll be a better pastor because when I say something to you about losing a mother or father, it's not something that's scripted. It's something that's coming genuinely from my heart. So there again, everything goes back to having a pastor's heart.
Right.
And sometimes having a pastor's heart, meaning you have to rebuke somebody that you love.
Yeah.
That comes with having a pastor's heart. I recall, my mother, God bless her, she's gone. We were in a meeting at the church, and I was trying to conduct the meeting, and my mother was talking out of turn. And I told my mother, be quiet, you're out of turn. And another member told me, you can't talk to your mother like that. And I told her, my mother, you be quiet and you be quiet too, because both of y'all out of order. What I'm trying to get you to say is sometime with the love of a pastor's heart, rebuking comes along with that. Because you got to call a spade, dog. If you love them, the Bible says the Lord chaseth who he loves.
Yeah.
So when you love them, when they're wrong, you got to tell them.
Yeah.
And my mother told me after she got home, she said, you hurt my feelings. And I said to her, you see how you talking to me now that you home? Whatever you had to say, you should have waited till you got home to say it. And then your feelings wouldn't have been hurt. But see, when a pastor comes, you can't have favoritism. You can't show one more than the other. They have to all be the same. Now, I'm hoping I'm not talking too much because it's supposed to be a two-way conversation. But even in treating people the same, there still has to be a difference in how you treat them.
Yes.
Because see, that comes from having a pastor's heart. Some people you have to be more stern with. Other people, it takes more cuddling, you have to be softer with other people.
Right.
So, but all that comes from having a pastor's heart. Because see, your discernment will allow you to understand who needs to be dealt with directly and who needs to be coddled a little bit. It's all part of having a pastor's heart.
Since you brought up the word discernment, for those who really don't understand that, you think you could kind of explain that so they can really, because I'm quite sure there are some people that in church that heard that word over and over, still don't understand it.
Well, this is, see, my definition of discernment is simply when the Holy Spirit is trying to speak to you and lead you and guide you and direct you in the path that you need to go in. Now that's my definition of discern. Because when I discern something, it's something I'm looking at or a decision that I've made, not based on my own intellect or recollection. I'm basing my decision or my movement totally on what the Holy Spirit has directed me to do or has shown me. It's discern. I see. Now, one thing you must do, in my definition, discernment is connected directly to spirituality, which is directly connected, to the Holy Ghost. So our discernment comes through the following the direction of the Holy Ghost as he's trying to lead us and guide us.
You're absolutely correct, and the scripture verifies this because it says that the Holy Spirit led Jesus up into the wilderness to be tested. Now, if he had to direct Jesus, and Jesus is supposed to be our example, then he has to direct us too. How can we not follow his direction if Jesus had to follow it?
You know what? That's true. But see, here, now we talking. See, you done started something. You done opened this up. Listen, sometimes we are trying to be led through the Spirit, and we don't want to go where the Spirit is leading us.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So see, people have a tendency when the Spirit is telling you something and you ain't listening. That's he's trying to give you discernment then, but you don't want to hear it.
Right. And you know, and with Moses too, he interceded for us. I mean, not us, but for Israel on Israel's behalf. Mm-hmm. And again, I say God tested him because he said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna wipe these jokers out and start you a whole new nation. You got that new nation will be yours and yours only. Do what you want, what you will with it, everything." And he said, "No, because of you, God, these your people. So it's more important that you get them through this than to give me a new nation." And for me, that type of a heart of a pastor is because he cared more for the people than to build himself up.
That's probably true, and I could totally agree with that. But let's examine him now. Let's examine him. Let's come from another perspective. So, for the sake of the conversation, I totally agree with what you said. Because see, the main thing that if you want to be a successful pastor, one of the things you have to understand is it's not about you. And when you get that it's not about you, that you have been blessed to have a position that requires great responsibility. It's not about you. When you make decisions, like I said at the beginning, I'm telling you based on my experience. I tell the key and the people at the church all the time, when you make a decision, you make a decision for yourself. When I make a decision for the church, I have to consider the whole body. I can't make a decision based on all the time what I think is right. Somebody needs to hear this, Key. Let me say this. Some pastor needs to hear this. The one thing that makes you a great pastor is you understanding that you don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. A great pastor listens and watches more than he talks. There again, this is my opinion. You listen and you watch more than you talk. You got 2 eyes, you got 2 ears, and you got 1 mouth. All your other senses are equipped with 2. You got 2 eyes, you got 2 ears, you got 2 nostrils, and your fingers, your touch is 10 of those. But you got 1 mouth. You got 1 mouth. I've learned more by listening and watching than I did talking. And I'm talking about my personal experience now in being a pastor. I've learned more by just talking. I mean, listening and not talking so much. I learned. And see, when you learn and you come prayerfully, listen, a pastor needs to hear me, with an open mind.
Yeah.
When your mind and your spirit is open, what it allows you to do is receive. You don't have the best ideal all the time. That's why you have to be willing to listen. There's been times at the church, Key, where I've said, well, brothers and sisters, I think we ought to do this. And then any of the deacons or trustees will tell you, I say, what do y'all think? And then I'm open to hear what's coming from other people. And I sit and listen. I said, you know what? It takes a big man. This is why somebody needs to hear this, Key. It takes a big man to accept the fact that somebody else has a better idea than his.
Well, let's go back to my boy Moses. Moses was sitting there and Jethro said, yo, Moses, this thing you doing ain't good for you or the people. Listen, you need to get some over 1,000, some over 100, some over 50, some over 10, so you can really minister to the people. Because at the rate you going, you're wearing the people out and they're gonna wear you out. And Moses listened to him because he had a better idea. So
yes.
So that's in the Bible, it's scripture. But you know what? You said something that I tell people all the time. I had to go to college to learn how to listen. And I was 41 years old when I went to Philadelphia Biblical University, because I'm from the streets. And in the streets, we don't listen. When we debate with people, we hear just enough to refute them or tear down what they say. So we was never taught to listen. When I went to college and they told me in ministry, you have to learn to listen, I said, whoa, that's a novel idea. You mean to tell me I actually have to listen to what other people have to say? And I learned from that point on that in order to be successful in ministry, I had to now learn how to listen to what the other person say, and not just to the surface thing, but to what lies underneath. Because you as a pastor know, a lot of times people come to you, they'll tell you that this is the problem, but that ain't really the problem. They just saying something to see how you respond to it. You have to dig more to see what the real problem is. What's your take on that?
Well, sometimes, see, this is where your discernment comes in. This is one of your attributes as a pastor. Now, when I had, for an example, the young ladies at the church, they have learned that when they meet a guy that they getting serious about, you got to come meet my pastor.
Yeah.
And quite, you know, sometimes the guys don't, and then let's just keep it 100. Sometime a guy will come because guys, you'll do whatever you need to do to get where you trying to go. Y'all feel me?
Right.
But the young ladies learn, say, before they got serious, you got to come meet my pastor. And see, when they brought them to meet me, you know, I'm waiting because I know they're looking for me to say, well, Pastor, what do you think?
Mhm.
And see, they brought them because they're wondering what's coming from a spiritual perspective.
Yes.
But see, that's what they're looking for. And you know what? I meet the guy, shake his hand, talk to him for a few minutes, look him straight in the eye. See, we've gotten away from those things. Look him straight in the eye. You know, there's certain things. Body language is very important.
Yes.
That's why I told you, pastors, you need to watch and listen. Now, sometimes you sitting in your meetings with your officers and stuff. You don't have to say nothing. Just look around the table. When stuff is going forward, you watch people's body language. Their body language says a lot about what they're thinking. You watch them. And you know, sometimes, and they say, I'm not looking to judge them myself, Key. I'm really looking for the Holy Ghost to give me some insight about this individual that they're bringing.
Right.
And I meet the guy a lot of times, you know, I'll wait and say sometimes, say, you need to bring him back again because I haven't spoken. Then there have been times where I say, he's a pretty nice guy. He'd probably be all right. Then there's other times I tell him he ain't no good. He ain't no good. How you know? Just trust me. He's no good. See, when the Lord is leading you and you guiding you with discernment, you might not believe this. Somebody listening might not believe what I'm saying. But I can shake a person's hand. And when I shake their hand, it gives me vibes. Now, my wife will tell you, I've told her many a times, you need to leave them people alone. And she come back later, you was right. Yeah, I know. I wasn't telling you what I thought. I was telling you what I was feeling from discernment.
Right.
When you have that heart for your people, God gives you that because it's a tool to help you be a better pastor.
And that's why I wanted to do this with you, because the people who don't know you don't know your heart. I've been around you. I've seen your heart. And you've heard me tell you, Pastor, that's why you the pastor, because I'd have told them what I thought. they wouldn't have liked me very much, because I'm telling you, I wouldn't have put up with that nonsense. But your heart and your discernment knew which way to take that to get the best results out of it. And that you have been gifted with.
Key, you're not the first person that has said that to me, but let me tell you something, and let me tell any other pastor that's listening. That's something you have to grow to. You don't come, most people aren't equipped with that. Now, I can't say nobody's not equipped, but most people are not equipped with that ability. I had to ask God to show me, because there are people in the church that you have to, like I said earlier, man, there are people, sometimes when you approach them, you got to just love them first. You don't even talk, Key. I've had members that was so mean that when I approached them, before they could start complaining, I would just put my arms around them and tell you I love you and walk away. And see that whatever what was up in them, the love of God. And see, that's why I say your love have to be genuine.
Right.
When I put my arms around, told them I love you, and then walked away from them, that love of God calms that whatever spirit, or what was coming, rising up in them, the love of God just shut it down. Shut it down. So you gotta love them. You gotta love them in spite of. The pastors, you gotta love them whether they give you an anniversary or if they don't give you an anniversary. You gotta love them.
Right.
If you don't love them, leave them alone. You don't love them, leave them alone. Fantasia said, if you don't want me, don't even be trying to talk to me.
Mm-hmm. And the word of God said, I will draw them with love and kindness.
Listen, you gotta love them. You have to have a love for a pastor's heart. And any pastor, there might be some pastors that's been pastoring longer than me that might be listening. Listen, your decision-making process, you can't make decisions for the moment. You have to make your decision based on not where you are, it's where you're going to be.
That's right. Where you headed to.
Yeah,
Listen.
you can't make your decision for where you're at. You got to make your decision for where you're headed to.
That's right.
And I mean, don't be hasty. You're making decisions for the church. That's why I say it's not about you. This is about the church. So I'm making a decision about the church. It's all right if somebody asks you something and you tell them, let me pray about it. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You practice that more. Don't always be in haste.
Yeah, I've heard you say that on more than one occasion. Listen, we're about out of time now. So if there's one important piece of information you would like to leave with our family, friends, and pastors and ministers out there today, what would it be?
To the people, my thing to leave you with this. Always remember this about your pastor. He's not perfect.
Yeah.
He's not perfect. Now, he will tell you, and anybody that's been to my church will tell you, from day one, I've told my people, do not use me as an example because I'm flawed. I got my own issues. I'm dealing with yours and I'm dealing with mine also. So to the people of the congregations of your pastor, he's not perfect and don't expect him to be. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes. He's just not perfect. And see, what messed people up in the church, Key, is expectation.
Mm-hmm.
It's expectation. See, if you don't expect a lot, when you don't get it, then you're not disappointed.
Right.
Now, there are things you should expect from your pastor, but in that, your expectation, always understand he is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Or if your pastor's a lady, she's not perfect. We're not perfect. We fall short of the glory just like you do. We hurt just like you do. We bleed just like you do. We have family issues just like you do. All the time, our children ain't perfect, just like yours ain't. And then the pastor needs to remember, you stop trying to present yourself like you perfect. Stop putting yourself above people. Now, if you ain't doing it, I ain't talking to you. But stop trying to put yourself above people. Remember this as a pastor. You a member of the church just like everybody else is. The difference in the two of y'all is God has given you an assignment. But you ain't no better than nobody. You shouldn't be putting yourself on a pedestal. You know, and the people should look out for you, but you, listen, man, I know pastors, I went to visit pastors that I was preaching, for them, or they've come to preach for me. And like I said, these are my opinions. You do you, I'ma do me. You know, the guy finished preaching, they in my office, there's 3 or 4 dudes undressing this guy. Come on, man. 3 or 4 dudes undressing this guy. I mean, he's sitting up there, they're pulling off his clothes, they dressing him and tying his shoes. Listen, you better watch out. You better watch out. because you shouldn't allow your people to see you in that light. Ain't nobody got no business dressing you unless you can't dress yourself. The Bible said we should bow to no man.
That's right.
What I look like, what I look like, Key, sitting in the office, I'm sitting in the chair, and you and Mike and Joe is dressing me and undressing me. What that look like?
And you about bigger than all of us.
Yeah. Big people, if I close with this, people love your pastor and pray for him. And pastor, love your people and pray for them.
Amen.
That's what I can leave you with.
We want to thank each and every one that viewed this video today. Please feel free to like it, to subscribe to it, and share it with somebody, because believe me, somebody need to hear what was said here today. And if you have a comment, please leave it. I will answer and respond to it. And I want to thank my precious pastor one more time, Ernest Skip Wormley Jr., for sharing this time with me today. I know he's a busy person. There's a joke between us. When I called him, I can't catch with him, he said I was playing Nino Brown today.
I'm on the run.
That's right. God bless you. God keep you. God watch over you. Till the next time we meet. Bye.
God bless you, bro. Thanks for having me.
No problem.